Okay, so let's take a step back, I think, because everyone, hands up who has a blog? Okay, so is it the way I think it is that the day that the blog started, it was simply the fact that the content burst out of you? Was that it? That you just couldn't keep it in any longer and you're like, I've got to get this out. Was that it? Hands up if yes. Oh, not so many. Oh, okay, it's just me. But I know that's the case with you guys. I know that's the case with you. So let's say the content bursts out of you. You go, or someone says to you, you've got to put this into a blog. And so you go and get the web address or you do your WordPress thing or whatever. You start the blog. You start writing. After 3 or 4 posts, well, pretty much you've told everyone you know about it and they're visiting it. But let's talk about how the traffic built up to the massive levels which it is now. I know that most of you will probably say, well, it just happened, but I reckon there's some mechanics behind it, so let's hear about that. So generating traffic is the question.
The way I always teach how to get traffic is to really put a lot of time into thinking about who you want to read your blog first. So I develop reader profiles. Before I start a blog, I actually sit down and I create a document and I put a photo of a random person that I find on the internet that kind of looks like someone I think might read my blog. And I usually create 5 or 6 of these reader profiles of different types of people who would read it, and I give them a name, I put their photo on it so it becomes personal to me, and then I begin to list their problems. Not their life problems, but their problems as they relate to my topic. And so I end up with this list of things that they need to know to go better. So in my photography blog, I started, how to hold a camera, how to, take, which camera to buy, all these sort of topics. And so you begin to picture in your mind who you want to read your blog. And part of that profile, at the bottom of it, I would always put where are they already hanging out online. And so for me, the answer to that was a lot of things, but one of them was Flickr. If you go to Flickr, you find that most of the photos on Flickr are really crap. And so obviously people are taking those photos, have no idea how to use their cameras to their potential, and so I began to develop a presence on Flickr. So you need to say, who do you want to read your blog, and where are they already hanging out, whether that be online or offline, and then you need to go and build a presence there. So for me, I started to build a presence on Flickr. I started to get to know key Flickr users. I started to get to know editors of other blogs who were on a similar topic or on related topics who had that type of reader. And it doesn't happen overnight, but as you get to know people, as you be useful in these other sites and create value on these sites, people begin to spread the word about who you are and they want to check out who you are. And the other part I'd say is you want to write the kind of content that people want to pass on. People want to pass on all kinds of content, whether it be controversial, Duncan's good at that, whether it be funny, again, like Inquisitor's got that kind of content. It's, I found that people like to pass on 50 ways to do this type of content. You don't want to write every post like that, but you want to begin to think about what content's being passed around on the web and how can I make that, how can I do that on my site? And you find that as you put yourself out there and as you write that type of content, it begins to build.
Well, I didn't have any strategy whatsoever. I grew up in a very remote part of Australia, Port Hedland, and I spent a lot of time reading magazines. 5 years reading Dolly magazine. I was obsessed with magazines. I had poetry published in Dolly, and when I grew up, I really wanted to write for a magazine. I didn't write for a magazine then, but I knew that a blog could kind of be an online magazine, so I decided, stop waiting around, just make it happen. So I started writing a blog, and amazingly people started to visit my blog. I'm not really sure why. I guess I visited a lot of blogs, I left a lot of comments, not strategically, just because I love blogs, I love reading, I love getting inspired online. So it started to kind of snowball, and then I realised I had quite a lot of readers, and that was exciting. And so I really worked hard to write posts that were really interesting, full of valuable information, but still all the sort of things that I believed in. Like, I never really compromised myself, for commercial reasons. I just wrote about the stuff that I actually did and that I actually loved. So, and that attracted my readership, and so yeah, now I write for Frankie magazine. Like I said, I got to write a book. All the people that bought my book read my blog. So it's just kind of snowballed very naturally, and I actually don't seek out more traffic. I just like to let it grow organically, and That way I kind of figure my writing will always be the best it can be, my photos will always be the best they can be, and you know, my more informative posts will always be the best they can be, because it's all down to me and I want it to be that way.
God, I'm going to sound like a whore after this. Okay, so obviously, well, with my very first blog, I would say that yes, it happened accidentally. I was writing about something I was passionate about, which oddly enough was blogging. With my blog story was I decided I liked blogging in 2001, 2002, didn't know what to write about, so I ended up doing the world's first blog about blogging. But currently, there was a strategy from day one. I knew I had to scale, I knew we only had so much money to spend on writers, and I knew I had to break even in the first 12 months. So we made a lot of changes. We played with content that did work, didn't work. We added new content streams, so we didn't start with sport, for example. To sound more whore-like, I mean, we write stories about the Google iPhone next to Britney Spears. What I always tell people is the non-serious stuff subsidises the serious stuff. You can't scale to the size we have if you're just doing really, really serious stuff. And I get to look at pictures of cats, which is really cool. And if you're on the site tonight, you probably will see some dog cats. I use them for feel overnight until the US writers come on. But yeah, you do have to think anything. And what Darren said about reader profiles is right. If you're doing a specific niche blog, in our case, we went for as wide as we possibly can. So I know, for example, we're not blocked by the Victorian government, so we've become quite popular within the Victorian government for celebrity gossip. And yet other people will read for my tech stuff or my trolling or the cats or whatever. So we have lots of different niches and we just hope that more people read them.
Cool. Okay, so then let's jump ahead and we'll come back and fill in some gaps in a minute. What about the potential for your blog that has surprised you? So the things that happened out of your blog, like you say, Pip, your book, Meet Me at Mike's, which is an absolute delight, at which I learned to crochet a granny square. I wanted to do that, it's fabulous. Pip is the start of the craft movement in this country, so that's true. Darren's book, 31 Days to a Better Blog, turned my blog around by teaching me about list posts, actually, was the main thing. So let's hear about the thing that grew out of blogging that you never expected.
The fact that people read it was unexpected. I mean, it's just every day I just wake up and think, my goodness, the things that come into my inbox from people, opportunities to speak around the world, a publisher wanting to write books. It's a dream. Like, it is a dream. And I guess for me, the whole, a lot of bloggers started out wanting to monetize their blogs with advertising, and what I'm seeing now is a lot of bloggers now are just saying goodbye to advertising and realising that once they build a profile and once they build some credibility and trust, that it enables them to write a book or to sell a product, to sell an ebook or to run training programs or to do all kinds of stuff. So it's a lot of times we talk about monetization directly from your blog advertising, but it's the indirect stuff that a blog can lead to. I know one blogger in the US, Jasmine Starr, she's a photographer, and she has branded herself and her business so brilliantly through her blog that she's become one of the best photographers in the US because she's branded herself so well. And she's a great photographer, but she's just used her blog to take her business to the next level. And so if you've got a business, I think a blog alongside that showcases what you do and who you are and what the work that you put into what you do, it just can really take it to the next level.